didn't know, Amazon Prime has this thing called Prime Reading, which allows you to read books for free. Technically it's free under your Amazon Prime membership, but I feel like 95% of us already have Amazon Prime, and they have such a great selection of books under their Prime Reading little category thing on the Kindle app. And I thought I would make a video sharing my top recommendations for the free books that they have. In this video I will also be sharing my top book recommendations that Amazon has under their Kindle Unlimited. Fun fact, Amazon is also currently having a little promotion for their Prime Days. So if you sign up for Amazon Prime, you can sign up for a 3-month trial of Kindle Unlimited during Prime Day. So literally right now. If you're like me and you don't like paying for a subscription service or another subscription service on top of all the other ones you already have, and you definitely want to take advantage of this deal, because I certainly did. I signed up for the 3-month trial, so I get to use Kindle Unlimited until October, I think. So I'm definitely going to be getting a lot of reading done, because I was going through the Kindle Unlimited section on the Kindle app and they have so many good books that I want to read. So this video is also going to serve as a little TBR video, because I'm including a lot of books that I want to read as recommendations, but I actually haven't read them yet. I just thought it would be fun to include it in this video since we're talking about all things Kindle. Also, one more thing and then I'll shut up and just tell you guys the books that I recommend. I actually don't have a Kindle. I just downloaded the Kindle app on my phone and on my iPad, and I read books through the app on my phone or iPad. I don't really see the point in buying a Kindle. I understand that people love their Kindle and that they can't live without it, but I read just fine on my phone or on my iPad. If I wanted to, I can also read on my MacBook. So it's just really, I don't really see a point in buying a Kindle. Maybe one day I will, but for now, I think I'm good. So if you don't have a Kindle and you're worried that this video might not be for you, you're wrong. If you have a phone, all you need to do is download the Kindle app on your phone or on your iPad. I thought that would be a fun little thing to say. I'm gonna start off by sharing my top book recommendations under Prime Reading. So this is for all of us who don't have Kindle Unlimited, and these books are completely free for you to read if you have a Amazon Prime membership. And I've read the majority of these books, so I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion as well as a quick background on each book, but I'm not going to spend too much time talking about each book, because if you've been watching my monthly reading wrap-ups, then you probably are familiar with these books. But the first book that I want to recommend to you guys is Royally Rearranged by, I believe her name is Emma St. Clair. Yes, it's Emma St. Clair. I read this book last month and it was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it. It's a romantic comedy, so if that's your thing, then trust me, you need to read this book. I also really enjoyed it because it was a closed-door romance, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm so sick of like spicy novels. They're just so repetitive and sometimes they're really cringy, so I'm taking a break from them and I'm focusing on reading a lot of like closed-door romances, at least for the month of July. And I really loved that Royally Rearranged was closed door. It basically follows a princess who all her life her parents have basically told her that she is going to be married off to her childhood best friend, and even though it's an arranged marriage, the main character doesn't really care that she is being set up to be married off, because she has been in love with her best friend for years, so she feels like it's a perfect match. The only problem is 1 month before they're set to get engaged publicly, her best friend finds out that their parents have been planning a arranged marriage for them. He wants no parts of this. He doesn't want to be forced to marry his best friend, even though he loves her. He's not in love with her, so he is refusing, and the princess is kind of left feeling hurt, one because she has imagined spending the rest of her life with her best friend her entire life, and two, she needs to marry someone, because if she doesn't marry someone with a title, then she's unfortunately at risk of not being queen one day. And then a duke enters the picture who is the complete opposite of what she's normally attracted to. He's kind of a bad boy. He proposes an arrangement to the princess of basically fake dating her, so it is a little bit of fake dating. And this duke, you guys, is absolutely everything. I fell in love with him. He's perfection. And this book was just so funny and so wholesome. So if you're looking for that type of book, definitely check out Royally Rearranged by Emma St. Clair. There's also a sequel or like spin-off novel in this series. The second book in the series is Royal Gone Rogue. This one unfortunately isn't available under Prime Reading, but it is available under Kindle Unlimited. So if you are signing up for Kindle Unlimited or you already have it, then you can read the second book in the series, and I highly recommend this series. It's so freaking cute, you guys. The characters are just all so freaking lovable. The next book that I'm going to recommend is The Perfect Marriage. I read this book last year. It's such a great book. It's a great thriller. It had me at the edge of my seat. I did not guess the twist at all. It basically follows a married couple. Their marriage has been on the rocks for a hot minute, and things just get worse when the husband is accused of murdering his mistress, and then his wife, who is a very prominent and successful defense lawyer, has to defend her husband and prove that he did not murder his mistress. It's a very good book. If you're looking for a good thriller that's going to literally have you at the edge of your seat, definitely pick up this book. And then I also just wrote on my notes app any Frida McFadden book. So if you didn't know, Frida McFadden wrote The Housemaid, which literally took BookTok by storm, I believe last year. I absolutely love that book. The Housemaid and the sequel to The Housemaid, which is called The Housemaid's Secret, is available under Kindle Unlimited. Unfortunately, it's not available under Prime Reading, but a lot of her other books are available under Prime Reading. And I read The Inmate, One by One, Do Not Disturb, and I think I started The Locked Door, but I never finished it. I really enjoy most of her novels. She has so many books available under Prime Reading, so if you are looking for a good thriller where you won't be able to guess any of the twists or the endings, definitely check out any of her books on Kindle Prime Reading or Kindle Unlimited. You're not going to have any regrets. And then I put Boyfriend Material. So this is a book that I actually haven't read yet, but I've seen it everywhere. I know it's a very popular book. It's by Alexis Hall, and it goes, Luce is tangentially and reluctantly famous. His rock star parents split when he was young, and the father he's never met spent the next 20 years cruising in and out of rehab. Now that his dad's making a comeback, he's back in the public eye, and one compromising photo is enough to ruin everything. To clean up his image, Luce has to find a nice normal relationship, and Oliver is as nice and normal as they come. He's a barista, an ethical vegetarian, and he's never inspired a moment of scandal in his life. Unfortunately, apart from being gay, single, and really in need of a date for a big event, him and Oliver have nothing in common. So they strike a deal to be publicity-friendly, fake boyfriends until the dust has settled. So this is a LGBT romance about opposites falling in love with one another, and like I said, I haven't read it, but I've heard really good things about it, and it's on my TBR. I want to read it. Another book that I haven't read but I want to read is the first book in the Bridgerton series, Bridgerton, The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. This is actually a series on Netflix. I haven't watched the series. I've heard really good things about this entire series. I don't even know how many books there are. I think there's quite a few books. It's a very popular series here on BookTube and on BookTok. I thought I would include it. I think it's like a historical romance. I don't really know much about it, but I definitely want to read it soon, and I thought I would include it since it's so popular. And then another thriller, I am coming to realize that I've read a lot of thrillers under Prime Reading, but the next thriller that I want to recommend to you guys is 20 Years Later by Charlie Dunlea. It wasn't my favorite thriller that I've read, but I still thought it was pretty good. Let me just read the synopsis because the plot's a little confusing. It goes, Avery Mason, host of American Events, knows the subjects that grabs the TV audience attention. Her latest story, a murder mystery laced with kinky sex, tragedy, and betrayal, is guaranteed to be ratings go. New DNA technology has allowed the New York Medical Examiner's Office to make its first successful identification of a 9/11 victim in years. The twist, the victim, Victoria Ford, had been accused of the gruesome murder of her married lover. In a chilling last phone call to her sister, Victoria begged her to prove her innocence. Avery, hoping to negotiate a more lucrative network contract, goes into investigative overdrive. Victoria had been having an affair with a successful novelist found hanging from the balcony of his mansion. The rope, the bedroom, and the entire crime scene was covered in Victoria's DNA. But the twisted puzzle of Victoria's private life is just the beginning, and what Avery doesn't realize is that there are other players in the game who are interested in Avery's own secret past, one she has kept hidden from both the network executives and her television audience, a secret she thought was dead and buried. So like I said, there's multiple plots going on in this book, and the book goes from past to present, so it's like alternating timelines, and you also follow different characters. Sometimes it feels like there's a lot going on, other times it feels like not much is going on, but I do think a lot of people might enjoy this book. Also, it's free, so you honestly can't go wrong. If you don't like it, then just DNF it, no harm done. And then another book that I didn't really enjoy, but it's a book that's very, very popular here on BookTube and Book Talk. The book is If He Had Been With Me, and this one is a YA novel. It follows a high school student, high school girl, who has drifted apart from her childhood best friend. He's become very popular, everyone loves him. She's become kind of an outcast, and she does everything in her power to not fit in. She really gave me the vibe of like, I'm not like other girls, and I just didn't really like her all that much. But the writing was okay, and like I said, this book is very popular. I think I ended up giving it a 2-star rating if I'm being honest, but so many other people have loved this book, so I'm definitely in the minority of not liking this one. The next book that I'm going to include is a recent read for me, and it's called The Last Flight. I actually read this book in June. It's another thriller. This one follows two women who are both running away from their lives. They just need to get away, they need to start over. They run into each other at the airport, and they decide to swap flights and swap identities. One will go to Puerto Rico and the other will go to California. Unfortunately, the plane that was headed to Puerto Rico ends up crashing. The woman who ended up going to California ends up taking the identity of the woman who was on the Puerto Rico flight. So she is left trying to figure out who that woman was, and she gets into a little bit of trouble along the way because, like I said, both women were running away from their lives. It's a good thriller. It started off really, really good, and then towards the middle it got a little bit slow, but then at the end it picked up again. I definitely feel like this is a thriller that a lot of people will enjoy. It's very different from any other thriller that I've read recently. I really like the idea of two women swapping identities, and I mentioned this during my June reading wrap-up video, but I only picked up this book because it mentioned Puerto Rico and my family's from Puerto Rico, so I decided to give it a try, and I ended up liking it. It wasn't terrible. The next book that I want to talk about is one that's on my TBR. I haven't actually read this book, but I've been seeing it a lot. I've been seeing it everywhere. Every time I go to Barnes & Noble, I see this book, and I always pick it up and then I put it back. I don't know why. So now that it's free, I'm definitely going to read it, and it's called The Cabin by Natasha Preston. It goes, a weekend partying at a remote cabin is just what Mackenzie needs. She can't wait to let loose with her friends, but a crazy night of fun leaves two of them dead, murdered. With no signs of a forced entry or struggle, suspicion turns to the 5 survivors. Someone isn't telling the truth, and Mackenzie's first mistake, assuming the killing is over. It's a YA thriller, which I don't think I've read a YA thriller in a hot minute or at all. I think the only YA thrillers that I've read were the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series and then the One of Us is Lying series, and both of those series I read last year, so I'm interested to check this one out and see if I end up liking it. I literally had no idea it was YA, so that's good to know. Another book that has been on my TBR for a hot minute is Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. I actually started reading this one and I DNF'd it, not because I wasn't enjoying it, I just don't think I was in the mood for it, and I feel like this is one of those types of books that you definitely have to be in the mood for. I believe it's a historical fiction book. It takes place in the 1970s, and you follow a 14-year-old girl named Mary Jane, and she basically lands a summer job as a nanny at a doctor's home. She's introduced to a completely different world than what she's used to, and she starts questioning everything. Throughout the book, she's basically trying to figure out what she has always known, who she is, and who she wants to be. So it's kind of like a coming of age story. At least that's what I'm assuming from the synopsis. Like I said, I started reading it, but I didn't get very far. I definitely want to finish it before the summer is over. Those are pretty much the books that are under Prime Reading that I have read or I'm interested in reading, but there are a ton ton of other books. I think there are like over 1,000 books under Prime Reading that you can read for free. A lot of them are popular titles. Some of them are not so popular, but I'm sure they're still good. So definitely check out Prime Reading if you want to take a break from spending money on books. As long as you have an Amazon Prime account, you can use Prime Reading. Moving on to the Kindle Unlimited. Like I said, Amazon Prime is currently having a promotion where you can sign up for Kindle Unlimited and get the first 3 months for free. And there are so many books under the Kindle Unlimited category that I want to read. Like, I don't even know where to start. I'm overwhelmed with all the titles because a lot of the books that have been on my TBR for such a long time are actually under Kindle Unlimited. So I'm going to be busy reading all of these books. That's all I'm literally going to do with my life, is just read before my 3-month trial is over. So like I mentioned earlier, Royal and Rogue by Emma St. Clair is under the Kindle Unlimited section on the Kindle app, but you can read the first book in the series under Prime Reading. And Emma St. Clair has like 19 or 20 other books under Kindle Unlimited, and I want to read all of them. I probably won't be able to read all of them before my free trial is over, but I'll probably end up buying them. But like I mentioned earlier, I think she's a prominently closed-door romance author. I need that in my life right now. I really don't want to read any more like spicy novels, at least for the rest of the summer. Maybe in the fall I'll resume back to like the spicy books. Her books just seem so wholesome. There's another series on Kindle Unlimited which is called the Flawless series, and this one is very popular. I'm actually going to be filming a whole vlog reading the entire Flawless series. That will probably be coming very soon. It's basically, I think it's like 3 or 4 books. I don't even know how many books. I know that the second book in the series is actually free under Prime Reading. The entire series is small town romance, and it follows characters that know each other. And I've heard really good things about this series, and I am a sucker for small town romances. I love a good small town romance, so I'm looking forward to reading this one, and hopefully it lives up to the hype because it's been getting a lot of hype lately. Another very popular book is Full Tilt by Emma Scott. I've heard that this book is very sad. Really don't know much about it aside from it being sad and being very popular, but it goes, Casey Dawson has always lived life on the edge, sometimes recklessly. And now as lead guitarist for a hot up-and-coming band, she is poised at the brink of fame and fortune. But she is torn between wanting to be a serious musician and the demons that lure her down the glittering but alcohol-soaked path of rock stardom. A wrecked concert in Las Vegas threatens to ruin her career entirely. She wakes up with a hangover from hell and no memory of the night before or how she ended up on her limo's driver's couch. Jonah Fletcher is running out of time. He knows his situation is hopeless and he's vowed to make the most of the handful of months he has left to him. My guys, he didn't die. His plans include seeing the opening of his glass installation at a prestigious art gallery. They do not include falling in love with a wild rock musician who wound up passed out on his couch. Full Tilt is a story about what it means to love with your whole heart, to sacrifice, to experience terrible grief and soaring joy, to live life with all its beauty and all its pain, and in the end to be able to smile through tears and know you wouldn't have changed a thing. Okay, so maybe I won't be reading this one anytime soon because I just got done reading a bunch of sad books and I need a break from sad books, okay? My heart just can't take any more sadness, and this one is definitely going to be sad. It's also pretty short. It's only 298 pages, but I don't think I'm ready for this. And it's a series, and both of the books are on Kindle Unlimited. So if you want to check out that sad series, go ahead. I've heard really good things, but I probably won't be reading it anytime soon. I have another book recommendation, and I just realized it's another sad book. This one is I think a YA book. I said last year I wasn't going to read this book at all, and now I'm kind of tempted to read it because so many of you guys keep telling me that it's a really good book. It goes, when 17-year-old Rune returns from his native Norway to the sleepy town of Blossom Grove, Georgia, where he befriended Poppy as a child, he has just one thing on his mind. Why did the girl who was one half of his soul, who promised to wait faithfully for his return, cut him off without a word of explanation? Rune's heart was broken 2 years ago when Poppy fell silent. When he discovers the truth, he finds that the greatest heartache is yet to come. I wasn't planning on reading it, but I might just read it now that it's free. If I hate it, then no harm done, no money spent, so I won't be that mad about it. The next couple books I'm going to recommend are Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover, Layla by Colleen Hoover, and By a Thread by Lucy Score. I've talked about these 3 books so much on my channel. I know that a lot of people don't like Colleen Hoover books. I personally love them. I feel like they're super addicting. I may not agree with everything she writes, but they're just very entertaining. So yeah, I am a sucker for Colleen Hoover books. Sue me. I do think that Reminders of Him is one of her better novels. It's so freaking sad. It tackles grief and forgiveness in such a powerful way that I think a lot of people would enjoy that book, so definitely check it out. Layla is more of a darker paranormal book by Colleen Hoover, so it's definitely not for everyone. Definitely look up the trigger warnings for that one. By a Thread by Lucy Score is such an amazing book. Definitely read this one if you're into romantic comedies. It is definitely spicy, and if I remember correctly, it is a grumpy sunshine workplace romance. So if that is your thing, definitely check out By a Thread. I also included the Summer I Turned Pretty book. I don't know if the entire series is on Kindle Unlimited. I just saw that the first one was, and I know this is a very popular series here on YouTube. There's also a series on Amazon Prime, I believe, and everyone has been talking about season 2 starting, so if you want to catch up on the books, definitely check them out on Kindle Unlimited. And then I also included Dreamland Billionaire series. So I did read the first book in this series. I have yet to read the other 2 books. I know that the 3rd book was just released this year and it got a ton of great reviews. If you're looking for books that are entertaining and basically reading about rich men falling in love, then check out this series. And then I have 2 more books from Frida McFadden that I want to recommend to you guys. First, The Housemaid, which I read this year or last year, I don't remember. It's a great thriller. The ending was so unexpected. Couldn't guess the twist at all. It was just such a good thriller that had me at the edge of my seat. Definitely recommend The Housemaid. And then its sequel that came out this year, I believe, The Housemaid's Secret. I'm actually in the middle of reading The Housemaid's Secret now, and I'm really enjoying it. Without giving too much away, because I feel like you really should go into these books blind, not really expecting anything, not really know anything, to get the full effect of the book. It basically follows a housemaid named Millie who is hired by a family who appears to be the perfect family, but they have a bunch of secrets that they're hiding. The woman of the house, the mother, the wife, doesn't seem to be all there. She seems to have a lot of problems. One minute she treats Millie great, the next she's throwing crap on the floor, asking Millie why she hasn't cleaned it up, or just lying about her daughter, lying about her husband, lying about her life. And Millie kind of gets stuck in the middle of all of that, and she ends up being locked in the attic, and she has to find a way out. Sounds pretty straightforward, but the twist, you guys, The Housemaid was so good, and I just did not see it coming. So definitely check it out. And then the last series that I'm going to recommend that's on Kindle Unlimited is, well, I guess I can recommend 2 series. They're by the same author, Anna Huang. The first series being the Twisted Game series, or the Twisted series, I think it's what it's called. The Twisted Games is the second book. I read the first 2 books in this series. The books were filled with dramas, and they were pretty entertaining, pretty easy reads as well. They're just very spicy, so if that's not your thing, then maybe skip on this series. And then the other series is the Kings of Sin series by Anna Huang. It's a semi-arranged marriage billionaire romance. Both books in that series are available on Kindle Unlimited. The 3rd book hasn't come out yet. I think it comes out later this year, so I might read the 2 books and see what I think about them. But yes, you guys, those are all of my book recommendations for Prime Reading and Kindle Unlimited, as well as some books that I plan to read that are currently on my TBR. Definitely subscribe because there will be a lot of reading vlogs coming, and if you want to know my thoughts on the books that I have yet to read, definitely check out my monthly reading wrap-ups, because I will definitely be going more in depth in my reviews regarding those books in those videos. And let me know in the comments below if you read any books on Prime Reading or Kindle Unlimited that weren't popular or aren't popular, because I would love to read some titles that are not super popular but are still good, and maybe give some recognition to authors who aren't, I guess, recognized as much here on BookTube or Book Talk. I think that'll be fun. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you a part of my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.